I didn't know how to act. I was married to my first wife at the time, and we had a family, and I don't want to say I didn't have anybody to guide me. I didn't want the guidance because my philosophy was, you don't understand me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what it took for me to get to where I'm at right now.
Right.
So get out of my face. I'm burning bridges. I'm destroying relationships, professionally and personally. But you can't tell me nothing.
Sir Hamilton Newton.
Yes, sir.
What's up, bro?
How you doing, man?
Chilling. Thanks for coming in today, man.
Thank you so much for having me, bro.
Oh, it's my honor. I've been seeing everything you've been doing online. I won't lie, a little jealous when I see you doing Tampa Bay Lightning parties. And I'm like, this dude is in Tampa Bay right now where I want to be. He is at the Lightning game where I want to be. And he's DJing and people are dancing. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Don't forget Smash Mouth was performing too.
Oh, sorry. Smash Mouth was performing.
Yes.
So that's when I was like, what am I doing wrong? I'm like, why am I building websites? I should be in freaking Tampa Bay. That's where I want to retire, man.
You'll do it.
Going Tampa. I know I will.
You're on your way, man.
Manifesting, baby. I say it every day. That's it. I got 6 more years. See ya.
I'll meet you down there.
Good. Well, you'll probably be there already.
Yeah. I will not confirm or deny.
Yeah. So, dude, I love everything you're doing. I really like your voiceover work.
Thanks, man.
I really dig that. So it's one of those things where I don't know who friended who, but we became Facebook buddies, and I've been following your ride so far. And I was like, you know what? I got to get Sir Hamilton in here and just see what's up. What's your story? Like, where do you come from? What goes on?
I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. And I'm a big fan of yours, man. I actually requested you.
There you go.
I requested you. I forgot whose page you came up on, but you popped up on somebody's page, and I was like, wow, like this guy's doing his thing. Let me connect with him and see what he's got going on. And I truly salute everything that you're doing, man. You have a beautiful studio, beautiful setup here, man. And Berks County needs a lot more of this. So, man, I definitely salute you.
Thanks,
in fact,
man.
I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. I actually created my own studio, and
Nice.
you were one of the people that inspired me to create a studio.
Cool. How the hell would I do that? You looked like you're already doing this for a while.
I'm doing it, but from a podcast perspective, just having the space like this, is something that I literally just created because I had a space for a while and I didn't know what to do with it. And I was just using it as an office and an address, for my DJ business, which is something else that I do as well. But I was never there because I work from home. You know what I mean? It's like, why do I need to drive from Wilmelsdorf to over by Legends every day?
Right.
I don't need to do that. I'll just work at home. And then it hit me.
Nice.
This is what I'm going to do. So, spent a little money and invested in a couple microphones, a couple boards. I already had a few cameras and, started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, man. It doesn't take much, man.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't take much to do this. And it's fun.
Yeah. I
love
definitely applaud you, man. Your beard looks dope.
Thank you. It was longer during the holidays. I was Santa Claus.
You rocking that joint,
Yeah.
man.
Now I had to cut it down. My wife was like, bro, are we good on this or what? Took it back, man. So, bro, you from here, man?
Yeah, so born and raised in Reading, Pennsylvania, 6th Ward. I grew up on 3rd and Walnut. I went to Lowers Park Elementary. Shout out to Mr. Hudak. Those of you who went to Lowers Park know who Mr. Hudak is. But yeah, grew up in Reading. Went to Milton Hershey School in the 4th grade, stayed there till about the 9th grade, then came back to Reading and, ended up at Southwest Junior High and then Reading High School and graduated and, here I am. But yeah, I'm from Reading.
Right on. That's awesome, man. So what'd you do post-high school?
Post-high school, what did I do? Oh, boy.
Well, you did say you had a history.
Well, I'll put it to you like this, man. I started DJing, and for those who don't know, I also go by DJ H. Vidal. That's my DJ name. And I've been DJing since 1988. Carrying records, crates, the whole 9 yards, mixtapes, the whole 9 yards. And shout to my beloved grandmother who believed in me and bought me my first set of turntables as a young man. And that's where it all started, But I started as a DJ, and I DJ'd all through high school. I was probably one of the only high school kids that was, DJing the Reading High Proms while I was in high school, and this is with crates of records and,
dude. I remember that.
amps and all that stuff like that.
Yeah, my dad was one of those kind of DJs when I was young, so I had to have him carry all that jazz.
Yeah. So you know how that went down. But yeah, when I got out of high school, I became a father at the age of 17. So when I was in high school, I think I was a junior. I don't remember. My daughter Jasmine was born, so I became a father early on. My mother was in and out of prison. Pretty much me and my brother's whole childhood. My brothers, I have two brothers on my mother's side. Shout to my man Science, and shout out to Phantom, also known as Bobby Newton the second. Um, we we had an interesting upbringing, and my mother was in and out of prison, and I really never had a relationship with my mother. My grandmother raised us, and to make a long story short, there were some. My mother had a pretty rough childhood as well, and there was drugs involved, and she was a heroin addict, and sadly, she succumbed to the AIDS virus in 1992, and that's when things just started going left for me. So I started dabbling in alcohol and partying and all that stuff. I call it the Bobby Brown tour.
I think you said that on our phone call.
Yes, I call that the Bobby Brown Rick James
Yeah,
tour.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but
Don't laugh, man. Laugh, laugh. It's a part of who I am, man.
Right on.
It's a part of who I am. Like, it's okay, man. But post high school, I DJ'd here and there, but I was that DJ that never talked. I was like, I don't need to talk. I talk with my hands. I cut, I scratch. I don't need to talk. And people would hear me talk, and they'd be like, "Yo, why don't you talk? You have a great voice." I talk with my hands. And then, I started watching, DJs from around here, like Johnny V, who talks, who's always been a talker.
Yeah.
And Johnny V, big shout out to Johnny V. Johnny V was one of my influences as a DJ, and a lot of people don't know that. But I grew up studying him, how he talked on the mic, and he used to do college radio shows at Albright College. He was the first hip hop radio show in Berks County at Albright College. And I used to listen to him, and I used to watch him like, I think I can do that. You know what I mean? So I would pick up little things that he would say, little phrases and stuff like that, and I would practice. And the next thing you know, now I'm talking on the mic while I'm DJing.
Yeah.
And people, they started hearing me talk. They're like, dude, you got a voice for radio.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, go ahead with that. You know what I mean?
Even when you walked in, you're like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm like, wow, this dude's voice is just like, you were made for that, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, man, just DJ'd post high school, and trying to figure out how to be a young father. Worked odd jobs here and there, and traveled, and did teenager stuff, and yeah.
How hard was it being a dad at 17, bro?
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough because I didn't know what I was doing. I just met my father 12 years ago.
Wow.
Excuse me. I just met my dad about 12. I met him, I think I was, how old was I? Yeah, it was about 12 years ago. And that was one of my mother's wishes, was for me to find my father before she passed away. She wrote Oprah Winfrey. She wrote all the talk shows, Montel. I almost said Montel Jordan. Montel Williams. I almost said Montel Jordan. This is how we... But, that was one of her wishes, man. And I could never find him. And then, thank goodness for social media, because I always knew his name. I knew where he was from, but I could never find him. And lo and behold, thank goodness to Facebook, I was able to find my biological father. We have a great relationship to this day, man.
Wow.
So
what did you just do? Search, and then he just came up?
So what I did was I looked up people he was related to. Like, I know he had a nephew that was in the rap group called the Tough Crew. I don't know if you're familiar.
I know the Tough Crew.
Okay, so Tone Love of the Tough Crew, my father's name is Donald Love.
Okay.
And I always knew that Tone Love was my cousin. And I never had no way of reaching out to him because social media did not exist.
Right.
Well, when social media popped up, I said, okay, I'm going to hit this guy up, and I'm going to keep hitting him up until he hits me back. I know he knows where his Uncle Don is. Mm. Well, he didn't hit me back. So I looked for other people with the last name of Love on his friends list. So I just started hitting them up. Hey, this is who I am. Sent him pictures of my dad when he was in the Army. And I'd say about 3 months went by, and then I woke up one day and I looked in my inbox, and my cousin Tia Love hit me up and was like, hey, cuz, Your dad is in Atlanta. He's alive. He's well. He's healthy. Do you want his number?
Of course. Wow.
Yeah, gave me his number, and it all just took off from there. I met my siblings. I have siblings on my dad's side, and we all have relationships. And I've been blessed with a stepmother. Shout out to Miss Gayla, and I have brothers and sisters, and I've always wanted to have sisters, and I have sisters now, and we all act alike.
What was that meeting like? Like the first time, like, I guess you went to ATL to meet your dad. Is that how it worked out?
Yep. So I had a gig down in your beloved city of Tampa. This was 12 years ago. I was still doing my thing
awesome.
down there. I had a gig down there, and I connected with my dad. I said, "Hey, Pop, I'm going to be in Tampa. I could fly up from Tampa to Atlanta." He paid for that ticket, which I was grateful for, and went to the airport and was at the Atlanta airport, and I'm sitting there waiting, and the car just pulls up real slow, and I could see his silhouette through the window, and he gets out the car. He's got his sunglasses on. He's got the leather hat on with the leather vest and the gold chains and the rings.
Awesome.
I'm like, look at this guy.
That's awesome.
And as a kid, I've always had questions like, I never understood, why out of me and my two other brothers, why I had the biggest head. Like my other brothers don't have big head. Why is my head big? And I seen my pop. I said, that's why my head is big. I got my dad's head.
That's awesome.
But it was awesome, man. It was a great experience, man. Surreal.
Was it I don't mean, you don't have to answer this question or not, but like did your parents not get along? Like, was he gone early? Like, how come you didn't know what was going on?
That's a deep one there.
Listen, you gotta answer it, man. I'm just talking like
I'll just put it to you like this. There was a love triangle.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
No doubt, man. All right. I got you, man. Well, listen,
I'm the product of a love triangle.
I'm just happy. Hey, man, I'm happy you got to meet your dad, dude. A lot of people out there don't get that shot.
Yeah.
So, all right. So did you end up going to college at all? Or you were just
never went to
high school. You just became a DJ right afterwards. And great. So what were some of your greatest accomplishments, right after high school as far as DJing?
School of hard knocks, man. No college, no school. Just watch the greats, study the greats. DJs like Johnny V, Cool Monty, may you rest in peace. Jazzy Jeff, DJ Rand from Philadelphia, Gary O. I could go on and on and on. So many DJs. DJ Swam, may you rest in peace. DJ Swam was one of the DJs that gave me a shot as a kid. And I started DJing at the age of 14. The Iron Men Association, which is the men organization out here in Berks County, those brothers, Danny Gilmore Sr. and Lou Terry, those of you who are listening that are from the Reading area, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Those guys gave me my start. They would rent the hall. I didn't have the money. I had the music, and I had the following because everybody knew Hamilton could DJ. So they would rent the hall. In some cases, they would set up the equipment. In some cases, they would let me use their records.
Yeah.
All I had to do was show up with my turntables and rock the party. Guess how much I got paid?
Nothing.
$50.
Okay, it's better than nothing.
And I DJ'd for 6 hours.
Yeah, bud.
6 hours. I made $50. You know what I mean? And I was happy with that, man. I was happy with it. But yeah, some of my biggest accomplishments that I'm proud of, just being able to DJ in my hometown and make a name for myself, just to be self-made and watch and study the greats that I came up listening to on the radio and here locally. Another one of my accomplishments was I was one of, I'm not even going to say I was one of, I was the first DJ from Berks County on Power 99.
Nice.
I'm going to put it like that. Like I was the first one. That happened back in 1998.
There you go.
So yeah, that was one of my biggest accomplishments. That's something I always wanted to do. I wanted to be on the radio. I just wanted to be on the radio, but I never knew how to go about it. And unbeknownst to me, it was all about networking and politics and who do you know? So yeah, that was one of my greatest accomplishments. I tried to get a job on there full time. They wouldn't put me on for whatever reason. So I was like, you know what? I gotta get up out of here. I gotta search around and look for something where somebody will take me in. And a brother who by the name of Rory Sheriff, shout out to my man Rory, who we came up together, same neighborhood, and he got a radio station job down in Charleston, South Carolina.
All right.
He packed up, he moved down there, he got the radio station job. He hit me up. He was like, yo, we need a mix show DJ. What is a mix show DJ? For those of you listening, a mix show DJ is the guy who does the 5 o'clock traffic jam or the 12 o'clock, whatever. That's what a mix show DJ is, who does that mix while you're sitting in traffic. And that was what I always wanted to do. So he's like, yo, send a tape down here to blah, 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 blah. Because that's what we did. We sent tapes. There wasn't no MP3s. Send a tape or a CD. And I sent him a mix. I sent the program director a mix. He liked it. When can you come down here? I want to interview you. Say no more. I packed up my records, my crates. I drove a Plymouth Laser at the time.
Right on.
Packed up everything. I had some T-shirts made with my name and the radio station on it.
I like that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
how you do it, bro.
And I walked in there, met the program director. I looked at him. I was like, what are you, bro? Shout out to Jeff Lee, by the way. That was my PD. I said, Jeff, what you about an extra large, 2X? He's like, I'm a 2X. Bam. Gave him a crispy white tee. He was like, I like you. He's like, you paid for these out of your pocket? I said, I sure did.
Yeah.
And so, I ended up getting the job as the mix show DJ for Power 94.1 in Charleston, South Carolina, which was then Clear Channel Radio, which is now known as iHeart Radio, iHeart Media. Ended up doing the 5 o'clock mix. Wasn't allowed to talk on the mic. All I did was mix, and that's it. How did I make up the rest of my money? I made up the rest of my money DJing gigs, DJing clubs. Because to put me on the Clear Channel payroll, I had to work in the promotions department for the cluster, meaning the whole building had other stations in there. There was a country station, there was a rock station, there was a classic rock station, there was a pop station, and there was a hip hop station. So if they needed a promotions guy to drive the country music station's bread truck to set up for a broadcast at Wild Wings at 4 o'clock in the morning, guess who had to do it?
That was you, buddy.
And at the time, I was getting paid $8 an hour to do that. But I didn't care because
I would have did that.
I didn't care. I just wanted to get put on.
Right on.
I wanted to get put on. So our program director at the time put his notice in. He said, I'm going to leave on. I'm going to do something else. That was a sad day, somewhat. Why do I say somewhat? Because we ended up getting another program director that saw and heard something in me that I didn't know was there. See, because prior to this new program director coming in, I was not allowed to talk on the microphone on my mix show because he then gave me a Saturday mix show for 2 hours. Don't talk, don't crack the mic, and mind you, it was all pre-recorded. No talking, just play the station sweepers and mix. And that's what I did. As soon as I found out he was leaving, what do you think I did? I cracked the mic. I turned that mic on. I said, I'm talking. And I just, did my whole thing. Yo, Shemay DJs for that, blah, blah, blah. Saturday Night Power 94.1. I'm here. Da, 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 da. Unbeknownst to me, the new program director was in town, in the hotel room, monitoring the station, listening. His name was Michael McGuire. Shouts to Mike McGuire. And he's introduced to us by the operations manager of Clear Channel at the time. And we're all sitting in the boardroom, kind of like at a table like this. And he walks in, he's tall and he's very intimidating looking, braids. He's like, all right, I'm your new PD. I'm Michael McGuire, da-da-da-da-da. He's like, before I get into anything, I got one question. Who's H. Vidal? I was like,
crap.
I was like, me? He was like, yo, man, I was listening to your show on Saturday. I said, oh, okay. He was like, man, you a bad boy on them turntables, man. He said, but I want to ask you a question. I said, what's up? He said, how come you don't have your own show? How come you don't have your own day part? Why aren't you doing nights? I said, I don't know, because I'm a DJ. He's like, no, you're more than a DJ. He's like, effective immediately, you're the new night jock. So he fired the night jock.
Wow.
On the spot. I replaced the night jock. And at the time, the night jock, his name was Milk Styles, who went on to be one of the biggest voices of BET. Mind you. He put me in that slot. He's like, I'm going to show you how to run this board. I'm going to show you how to do talk breaks. I'm going to show you how to talk to the audience and not at the audience. He said, because it's different when you're in radio versus being in the club. You can be in the club and you can be the dude, you know, screaming, hollering, yeah, it's going down. Blah, 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 blah. Every DJ says that, it's going down. What's going down? It's going down. Can we do away with this going down in 2023? So that's how I was cracking the mic on the radio.
Right.
And, you know, he put me on, and then I start, you know, first couple breaks, I stumble, you know, it's man, it's going down. And as soon as that red light flashes in the studio, that's the hotline. You know, it's the program director calling. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And I hit the button. Studio, what's up? And he cursed me out. Cursed me out. That ain't what I showed you. MF, I don't know if I can curse on here, but I'm not going to.
You can curse.
Okay, very good. He's like, motherfucker, what the fuck is wrong with you? That ain't what the fuck I showed you how to do. Stop screaming at me. Stop screaming at the listeners. And I listened, and I became a student. You see, because I learned that as long as I remain teachable, I will always continue to grow as long as I remain teachable, because I don't have everything figured out. And I thank guys like Rory Sheriff and Jeff Lee and especially Michael McGuire for giving me that shot, because had they not opened that little door for me, I would not be sitting here right now. And he showed me how to be a radio personality, not a screaming DJ talking about it's going down. And then what ended up happening was I was on that radio show for about 1.5 years. The station flipped formats.
Whoa.
Basically what that means was it wasn't making no money.
Right.
They weren't feeling the station in Charleston, South Carolina. So they flipped formats. Now I'm out of a job. So I ended up going to the low budget station in the market, just to kind of keep myself out there. And mind you, there's a heritage hip hop station in Charleston, South Carolina as well. So I'm on this low budget station and I'm doing a break. Gentleman by the name of Stu Robinson is driving through Charleston, South Carolina on his way to pick up his little girl who lived in Charlotte. He hears me on the radio. He's coming from, guess where? Tampa, Florida. He's driving through. He hears me. He calls his frat brother by the name of Baby J, shout out to Baby J, who was the morning show host for the station in Charleston called Z93, which is the heritage station. They're like the Power 99 of Charleston, South Carolina. They're not going anywhere. Yo, who's this guy H. Vidal? Oh, that's my man. He's cool, da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's always important to stay cool with the competition.
Yeah.
You got to stay cool with your competition, because you never know. You never know when you're going to have to leave McDonald's and stop making Big Macs and start them flame broiled Whoppers. It could happen at any time.
Exactly.
So they made the connection. Stu reached out to me, send me an air check. I sent him an air check. They called me, can you come down and audition? Still had the same Plymouth Laser, loaded up my records, drove from Charleston to sunny Tampa, Florida. Never been to Florida in my life. Drove down there with 0 sleep. Drove right to the station. No sleep. Was DJing a club the night before. I was supposed to audition the next day. The program director said, "You want to go on tonight?" Now I had a brief diva moment where I was about to say, "I didn't get any sleep and I'm sleepy and I've been driving 8 hours." And I was like, "No, let's go. Let's
about to go down, right?
Let's go." Had an intern show me the board or whatever. I stumbled on the first break because I didn't know how to work the board, but I crushed it. And I ended up getting a job at 95.7 The Beat in Tampa, Florida. That was back in 2003.
How long were you in Tampa?
I was in Tampa from 2003 until 2009.
6 years.
Yeah.
Nice. So you saw the cup.
Yeah.
They want to know 4. Sorry, I had to throw it in there.
So yeah, I was down there for all of that, and it was a blessing. I made a name for myself down there and was able to maintain some relationships. I was on BET Rap City as soon as I got there. Got a call for BET Rap City and was able to, be on about 4 episodes of that, which was definitely a blessing. And yeah, man.
So, cool. So why'd you leave Tampa in 09?
Hoo-hoo.
Yeah, the good stuff. Right?
Now, here's where it gets good. So I left Tampa in 09. Leading up to that point, I was dipping and dabbing and drinking. And, when I went down there, I didn't know how to act. I was married to my first wife at the time, and, we had a family. And, I don't want to say I didn't have anybody to guide me. I didn't want the guidance because my philosophy was, you don't understand me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what it took for me to get to where I'm at right now.
Right.
So get out of my face. Okay. So I end up continuing to do radio. I get the number one ratings. I'm getting all these rating bonuses. I get me a van. I get it wrapped. It has my picture on it. It has rims on it. TVs in the head screen, all sponsored. I didn't pay a dime for it.
Sweet.
I'm making a name for myself down there. You can't tell me nothing. All the way to the point where I was doing magazine interviews and I was dissing my hometown of Reading, Pennsylvania.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was on another level, man. I was on another level and was just drinking and drinking and drinking. And I didn't have a problem. I would tell people I don't have a problem because I only drink on the weekends. I only drink when I DJ. I don't wake up and drink. I don't hide alcohol. I don't do any of that stuff. So therefore, I don't have a problem. Mind you, I'm not coming home to my wife. I'm not being a faithful husband. I'm not being a present father. Okay. I'm burning bridges. I'm destroying relationships, professionally and personally. But you can't tell me nothing. All the way to the point where I end up losing my job at 95.7 The Beat in Tampa because I was that much of an asshole. I was getting arrested for DUIs and fighting in a parking lot and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Look it up, mugshot.com. You'll see me, Hamilton Newton. You'll see all the mugshots. Okay. So,
wow.
So that ended up happening. I lose my job at 95.7 The Beat. My wife at the time said, look, I can't do this anymore. You either pick this lifestyle or you pick your family. What do you think I picked? I picked the lifestyle. Cocky me. Well, if it wasn't for this lifestyle, you wouldn't have that truck and you wouldn't have this and you wouldn't have that and blah, 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 blah. She packed everything up, took my 3 kids and moved back here to Berks County. It was one of the worst days of my life. Next to my mother passing away, that was probably one of the worst days of my life. I'll never forget that day when I dropped them off at the airport. It was one of the hardest days. And then going back to an empty house. Horrible. I lost my job. I lost my family. What am I going to do? I'm going to collect unemployment and DJ in the clubs. That's what I'm going to do. So that's what I did. I collected unemployment and I DJ'd in the clubs. And then I got a phone call from Grammy Award-winning artist Bubba Sparks.
Wow.
H. Vidal, I need a DJ on the road. I heard you lost your job. You want to go? You want to go on the road? Well, hell yeah, I want to go on the road. Now, there was another radio station in Tampa. Well, there is another radio station in Tampa, but I couldn't apply for that station because I had to sit out a 6-month non-compete. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to gun for that job. I'm going to try to go to the other station. But in the meantime, I'm going to collect this unemployment and I'm going to go on the road with Bubba Sparks. Went on the road with Bubba Sparks and was having a great time. And that's when I got the bright idea that I wanted to try cocaine. Never tried it in my life. Always said I'll never do hard drugs because, that was part of my childhood. And I watched my mother do hard drugs, and I will never do anything other than smoke a little weed, maybe pop an occasional ecstasy pill and drink a little liquor and beer or whatever. And that's it. I tried the cocaine for the first time and I felt like I arrived. Where have you been all my life? This is the missing link right here. And that's when the fun began. That's when the Bobby Brown tour went to the next level. 6 months sat out. I get a call from the other station, Wild 94.1, from Orlando Davis. Big shout out to him. H. Vidal, I'm just going to cut right to the chase. You want a job? Hell yeah, I want a job. So now I get hired on Wild 94.1, one of the first DJs in the Tampa market to work on both stations in the same year. And I'm not even from there. Started working on the station, and the drinking got worse. The cocaine use got worse because now the cocaine was available to me. I'm not going to put any names out there, but
no more shout outs, huh?
It was very, not when it comes to that, but it was very accessible at the station at the time.
Okay.
Very accessible. And I was getting $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 rating bonuses.
Damn.
Quarterly.
Definitely in the wrong business.
So the next thing you know,
Oh.
the drug use became, for those of you wondering what happened, his camera arm came off of the table.
I kept moving it because I just wanted to be comfortable.
Yeah. Uh-oh, now he's making noise.
This is what happens, boys and girls.
Yeah.
But that's why you have guys like McCookie.
Now you get to see me on camera.
Yeah, there you go.
McCookie. Where'd that come from? Is that his real name?
Joseph McCookie.
Joseph McCookie. You're listening to the Joseph McCookie podcast. Joseph McCookie is fixing the boom arm.
Do we want to cut it out?
No, we don't want to cut that out. We're going to leave it. So,
I looked directly right into the camera lens, so that was awkward.
so the drug use started when I was on tour with Bubba Sparks, and then I got the job at the radio station, Wild 94.1. And then it just got worse, man. You know, it got worse, you know. And still to that, it's, as I continued to use and use and use, you couldn't tell me that I had a problem. I don't have a problem. There's no way I have a problem. Until I left an after-hours club on Father's Day. I DJ'd the night before, Father's Day Eve. And the girl that I was dating at the time, she made me promise her that I would not drink. Promise me you're not going to drink because we're going to the beach with my parents for Father's Day. Now, that was hard for me because my children weren't in my life at the time. So I was beating myself up. I didn't know my own father. I was beating myself up. My mother was gone. I was beating myself up. And my girlfriend at the time was pregnant with our daughter. And I wasn't ready to have a kid. Another kid, which, by the way, I have 7.
Working hard.
Bobby Brown tour.
Yeah.
99 in the 2000s was.
But yeah, children are a blessing.
They are, man. I love my kids. So if you think that I didn't use and I adhered to her request, you're sadly mistaken. I did the complete opposite. I took it to a completely different level. Not only did I drink at the club that I was DJing at, I left the club, got some cocaine, and went to the after-hours club that closes at 8 o'clock the next morning. And I stayed there. And she came into the club while I was there doing lines, pregnant. What the F are you doing in here? And I was completely embarrassed. It was at that moment I was like, okay, I think I have a problem. I left the club. I took Xanax. And for those of you who don't know, Xanax and cocaine are considered lethal, a lethal combination. But I didn't care at the time because I felt as though I didn't have anything to live for at that point. I fell asleep at the wheel of my van, and I hit a telephone pole, and I almost died. I got out of the van. I walked home. I called somebody up. I said, pick me up. This person picked me up, drove me to their house. I got as much drugs as I possibly could, and I tried. My goal was to end my life. I didn't want nobody to find me, nobody to reach out to me. I was not going back to the radio station anymore. I'm done. I'm done. My new baby's mom is mad at me. My ex-wife hates my guts. My children hate my guts. Should I hate my guts? I don't want to live anymore. And I tried to commit suicide. And I failed. And I ended up going to treatment for the first time. June 25th, 2008. I checked myself into treatment, Turning Point of Tampa. And that's when my recovery process started. So to answer your question, how did I end up back here in 2009? I came back here to visit on Thanksgiving. And at the time I was sober. I was clean. I was reuniting with my kids, and, you know, everybody hadn't seen me in a while. And I had planned a big party Thanksgiving Eve at a place called the Chill Lounge, which is now known as the Hitching Post. It's one of the biggest parties I've ever done. And me and a good friend of mine, his name is Scott. He went by DJ TC at the time. We did this party and it was off the chain. Now, I bought a round trip ticket to come up here to visit fly back down to Tampa. Mind you, I didn't have a radio job or nothing. I was working construction because I burned every bridge at that time. So I'm in Tampa, other than the fact that I had a daughter, and the girl I was with at the time, she broke up with me. So there was really no reason for me to be in Tampa. But there's no way I'm coming back to Reading. Fuck that. I'm not coming back here. So I did this gig at Chill Lounge. Woke up the next morning. Decided, okay, I'm going to see one of my kids. One of my kids had a doctor appointment. I wanted to be there. So I'm walking out of the house with my child, holding hands. Pennsylvania constable pulls up. Pew. Hamilton Newton. Yeah? We've been looking for you. What do you mean you've been looking for me? Oh, we've been looking for you since 2001. Come with us. So I owned a record store next to the Ugly Oyster on 5th and Cherry before I'd started my radio career. And I would get parking tickets every single day.
Oh. They take their parking tickets serious around here.
$7,000 in parking tickets I had, Freddie. $7,000. Judge Xavius was the district justice at the time. So they put me in the back of the car, drove me to Judge Xavius' office, and he pulled up boxes and boxes of manila folders of warrants looking for my black ass. We've been looking for you, and we finally got you. Unless you give me $5,000 today, right now, you're going to sit in jail every day until these parking tickets are paid off. So to answer your question, how did I end up here since 2009? That's how. I sat in jail for 7 months, bro.
That paid it off?
Paid it off.
7 months.
7 months at Berks County Prison. Yep.
So $1,000 a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that like?
Jail?
Yeah.
It's jail.
But jail in Berks County. I don't know.
It's a rough stop, man.
Mm.
It's a rough stop. It's worse now than it was back then. Way worse because they lock you down all day.
Well, have you, you were never to jail before, right? Obviously, was this your only trip?
No. There was some times after that too.
Well, I'm talking about this one. Start with this.
That wasn't my first time.
Okay, so
But that was my longest time.
okay,
Like I do like a weekend, for like a DUI, I do like a weekend or a 24-hour or hey, you have a warrant because you didn't pay this or whatever. They take me to jail, somebody pay it and I get out. But never to the point where I was processed and in population, getting commissary and visits and all of that.
what is that like, dude?
It's life-changing.
Because I know you've done some bad things. I don't consider you a criminal, like not that I know anything about that. Like I can't comment on it. I just don't see you as a because you watch a lot of TV and
Right.
movies. I'm sorry. It's just what I know of jail is from that. You just don't seem like that kind of guy. So like, what was that like, bro? You going in there, you're like, well, I'm in jail now, and I'll be here for 7 months.
I for you to say that I don't seem like that kind of guy, I take that as a compliment because that tells me that my recovery is working.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't know if I could have been able to say that back in like 2009, but to you sitting in front of me right now, I'm like, you don't seem like a guy, but
It's the behaviors, man. A lot of it, for me, it's the behaviors, and I had some unaddressed issues that continued to address me. And it wasn't until I was ready to surrender that things would start to change. But jail was an eye opener. But you would think that moment would change things. You think that would be the game changer for me. Well, it was not. It was not.
Well, so you went to jail 7 months, did the whole thing, no drugs and alcohol. Well, no drugs and alcohol?
No, obviously no drugs and alcohol. Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, no drugs and alcohol. Got out of jail, came out, and that's when I met my father. I met my father shortly after that, and then my wife at the time, my first wife, we had split up, and I met my father and went down to see him for the second time for a second visit. And my father's an Eagles fan, diehard Eagles fan. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oof.
Easy.
I'm neither. I'm just like,
Okay.
oof. I know the history there, though.
So I was saying to myself, man, I want to drink a beer with my pops.
Sure.
I want to watch football and drink a beer with my pops. Like, I'm sober now and I feel like I was robbed of that. I just met my dad. Like, what boy doesn't want to have a drink with his dad?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I went down to Atlanta and I said, Pop, I want to have a drink with you. And at the time he was drinking too. He's like, are you sure? He's a real high pitched voice. You sure you want to do that? Yeah, I want to do that. Like, I'll be all right. I'm good. We drinking, we have a good time, whatever. Fly back up here. 2 weeks later, I got my third DUI.
Brother.
Yep. Third DUI. So I went through that whole process and, did my little bit of jail time and probation and fines and all that. Got over that hump. And then I made the conscious decision to get married again to somebody that I only knew for like 3 months, if not less. And I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version of this.
I was going to say, like, well, when you know. But.
I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version of this. To make a long story short, it was a very toxic relationship, something I should have never done, but I did it because I saw her as somebody that could take care of me. See, if you remember, I talked about how I lost my mother at a young age. I always looked for somebody to take care of me. I called myself a boy in a man's body who grew up with mommy issues. This is why I could never be faithful to a woman. This is why I could never be honest to a woman or honest to myself. This is why I always wanted somebody and specifically looked for someone that would take care of me. Although my grandmother instilled in me, I'm going to teach you this, and this, so you don't depend on a woman to take care of you. And I thank God for my grandmom for showing me all that. Taught me how to cook, taught me how to clean, wash clothes, all that stuff. I'm a beast at all that. But when it comes to being a man, I was never taught that. Because I never had that motherly love that a son wants from his mom. I'm proud of you. Great job. Give me a hug. I never grew up with that. So I grew up with those mommy issues. And, the marriage I was in was very toxic and there was alcohol involved and we ended up getting in a physical altercation, and I ended up going to jail for that. And that, Freddie, was my rock bottom. That was my rock bottom. That was it for me. And that was almost 9 years ago, September 27th, 2014. When I sat in that jail cell and nobody wanted anything to do with me. My grandmother didn't want anything to do with me. My kids, my oldest daughter, nobody wanted anything to do with me. Nobody returned my phone calls. Nobody was coming to visit me. Nobody was co-signing my bullshit anymore. They was like, yo, I'm done with you, man. I'm done with you. That was my rock bottom. And that is when I got on my knees and I surrendered and I asked for help. I asked for help. And that's when I made the decision, you know what, I'm going to free myself while I'm in this jail. And I didn't know how much time I was looking for. I was looking at maximum of 20 years. They wanted to charge me with aggravated assault, felony 1. Yeah.
Whoa.
All over a disagreement. Her word against mine. I'm not going to get into details, but the part that I played in it was I should have walked away.
We all should.
I should have walked away and I should not have participated in that insanity. I should not have. But you know what? I'm grateful for it because it changed me and it grew me up. And that's when I made the decision. I'm going to do, when I get out of this jail cell, when I get out of here, I'm going to do whatever it takes to grow up and finally become a man. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to reach out to another man and ask for help. I'm going to get involved in a recovery program, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get better. And that's exactly what I did. I walked out of Berks County Prison. I did 2.5 months. I left there and went to Camp Joy. It's a program in Leesport owned by the YMCA. It's a halfway house recovery housing facility. And I stayed there. I didn't DJ. I didn't personal train. I didn't do any of that. I ended up getting a car wash job, making minimum wage at the age of 40. I said, no, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And my number one job was my recovery. That was my job. I'm not DJing. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get better. And that's what I did, and that's what I continue to do. And my life has been incredible since I made that decision. You know, never in a million years did I think I would be sitting here with you, talking with you, because you called me to have this conversation. I never thought I would be working at a radio station ever again. I thought my radio career was over. Not only am I working on the radio, but I'm working on a radio station in my hometown. Like, how cool is that? From my house. I have kids that love me and trust me again. I have colleagues that love and trust me again. I have judges in my cell phone that I can call and talk to at any given moment.
Wow.
You know, and I get to, just the fact that I get to give back what was freely given to me is the biggest blessing, man. I get to be a dad. I get to be a grandfather. Got some grandkids coming.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Like it's been humbling, man. But yeah, that's my Reader's Digest version of Sir Hamilton.
It's a wild ride, brother.
Yeah, man.
Whoa. Okay. So what's next?
You don't even know where to go.
Because I'm like, I mean, it was a heavy story, interesting story. I mean, I'm like, whoa, man, you lived like 1,000 lives.
Yeah.
You know, there's some positive, some negative, but there's sometimes things have to happen in your life so you get to that point where you get to where you really should be, what you really should be doing. I mean, shit, man, I commend you for even being able to sit across from me at this point. All the things you just told me, I'm like, whoa, like that's, but dude, like, fuck it. Good for you, man. Yeah. I mean, because a lot of people could have been, and as you said, you almost did, so I'm definitely just like, whoa. I really didn't know what to expect today. I thought I was going to just see more of the, DJ H. Vidal.
No.
And I'm like, man, my man is like, whoa, he lived, but I mean, I commend you for what you did, man. I commend you for coming back. I commend you for building what seems to be like a beautiful life. It looks like you have is she your wife now?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
You have a beautiful wife.
Yes.
You guys always having a great time together, you know? How's the relationship with your kids, man?
It's good, man. It's good. There's some areas, there's some areas that, that can be healed in some areas that I've, given to God. But for the most part, the relationship's great, man. Great relationship with my kids. And, with my marriage to Candace, I've inherited 3 other kids,
Awesome.
So I have some bonus babies too. And
so then you're 10 total?
10 total, man.
Ooh, nice number, man.
Yeah,
like
10 total. 10 total. So I have great kids, man. I love my kids, and I love them. I'm grateful for each and every one of them, and I just love them, man.
Man, I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it, dude. I love everything that you do, and I see that you're doing voiceover work. And
Yeah.
I mean, I won't lie. Like, I was kind of like, man, I wish I could do that shit too.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you to kind of switch gears on that. Anybody can do voiceover. Okay. Voiceover is not about the voice. It's not about your voice. Okay. You can have the deepest voice in a world where men sit down and have a conversation. Anybody could be the movie trailer voice.
Yeah.
My voiceover coach, Donovan Cornitz, big shout out to him. He humbled me when we had our very first coaching session, and he said, voiceover is not about you. He said, you're a radio guy. Leave that radio shit with radio. Radio is about me. Voiceover is about the script. Okay? How do I bring that script to life? So I had to humble myself and be teachable once again and unlearn all this radio stuff. So that's why there's DJ H. Vidal and Sir Hamilton, right? Sir Hamilton is the voiceover guy. DJ H. Vidal is DJ H. Vidal. He's the radio guy. He's the DJ. He's the party rocker, the crowd motivator. But Sir Hamilton is the voiceover guy who brings the script to life. And that's where I get to be more of myself.
Right on.
And that's what it's all about. Voiceover is about you being you. So Freddie, you could do it. I mean, look at Ving Rhames. Arby's, we have the meats.
That's Ving Rhames?
That's Ving Rhames, man.
It's like he's like making his voice even lower than it is.
That's Ving.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Ving
cool.
Rhames. So anybody, it's like acting. It's all it is.
It is like acting.
Yeah,
sure.
you just bring that script to life. So, I wouldn't rule it out. Why, you need a podcast intro?
Man. Dude, listen, Sir Hamilton, DJ H. Vidal, thank you for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me, brother.
I've learned so much about you today. I mean, I'm going to have you back on. I feel like we have to have you back on so we can have a conversation about like something else. And what that is, I don't know. But I think you'll have to evolve a lot about, learning from your failures and picking yourself back up, by the bootstraps, and that's never too late to do something else,
Mm-hmm.
But man, I appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy man, but I really just totally, I'm looking forward to the next time.
Thanks, man.
Now that I just bumbled all over myself, right, McCookie?
That's okay.
All right, man. I know it's me. I can't talk.
You're just being yourself, man.
That's it. You could do it, Fred. Voiceover coach. Coach. Yeah, see?
Voiceover McCookie.
Voiceover McCookie. Sir Hamilton, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of Fred Talk. And I hope you totally dug what you just saw. And if you did, make sure you like and subscribe because I need you to watch all my videos because, YouTube, all those great things. And you can check us out online at fredtalk.tv.